The Carousel Free Zone, will it be open before Christmas? And the new PUP government starts serious talk to move to an opening date. And food pantry on pause, but we'll show you why tonight. Maybe it's because Mickey and Minnie Mouse were on the pantry list. Also, the San Ignacio Community Hospital in crisis, at least a dozen staff down with COVID-19, plus former PM Dean Barrow suing current PM Johnny Briceño. Yep, sure looks like it. We'll tell you why tonight. We've got details of these and all the stories in our newscast for tonight, Friday, December 4th, 2020. Good evening. With your news, I'm Indra Craig.
Apple for Kids is here once again.
Have you ordered your apple yet?
You can get your red apples,
Or you can get yellow apples. Each box is just $110.
And it's all for the children of Belize.
So call 614-3579 before December the 4th.
December 4th? That's this Friday. Hurry and order your apples now.
And be Belize, changing
Belize.
BCE. Belize, changing Belize.
Let's all work together to be germ busters and keep each other safe by stopping the spread of germs that can make us sick. Remember to wash your hands often, especially after using your devices or toys and before and after eating. If you don't have soap and water, use a hand sanitizer. Make sure to put it all over your hands, front and back, and let it dry. Don't wipe it off. Believe Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
Pelican, the beer of Belize.
My name is Kira Finello. I'm 37 years young. I was born in Belize City and I moved around a lot until I settled here in Belmopan. My day sometimes starts from like 5:30 in the morning because I would get up to go run. But during that period of time, that's when I gather my thoughts. Being a mother of two and a wife and an employer, you know, it's hard finding a balance to juggle everything, but we love what we do, so it's worth it. I'm technically a second-generation insurance agent. My grandmother was in the industry for over 40 years, and in 2015, she was diagnosed with cancer. And it's because of her encouragement and the support of the RFNG team, I decided to continue her legacy. I saw the love she had for what she did and the love she had for her customers, because it wasn't just about providing a service, but it was about creating friendships. I am your neighbor, I am your friend. I am your RFNG agent.
Find your nearest RFNG agent on our website at rfginsurancepolice.com, where it pays to get it right.
Ray, what's wrong? It's him. He hit me again. Oh my gosh. This time it was worse. He slammed my face in the wall and threatened to kill me. If you or someone you know is experiencing family violence, call 0800 for Way Out. Or you can text or WhatsApp to 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission, with funding from Be Engender and Spotlight Projects.
Stay safe and submit your sickness benefit claim form electronically. Follow these 4 steps. Step 1. Obtain your medical certificate. At consultation, the doctor certifies your days of illness and provides you with a medical certificate. Step 2. Fill out your sickness benefit form. Complete all the fields in parts 1 to 4 on the front page of the sickness benefit form. Step 3. Request your salaries record form. Contact your employer for your salaries record form. Step 4. Submit your sickness benefit claim form. Scan or take a clear picture of the sickness benefit form, salaries record, and proof of bank account. Email the documents to claims@socialsecurity.org.bz within 14 days. You will receive an email reply confirming receipt of your claim. After the submission of all documents, your claim is processed for payment to your account. For any COVID-related illnesses, contact the Ministry of Health for further guidance. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. A pandemic means the virus is everywhere, but it might not be everywhere at the same time. If there are no cases in your area, it does not mean that there will never be cases in your area. Here's what you can do to delay the spread of COVID-19 in your community. Stay home unless it's absolutely necessary for you to go out. Practice physical distancing when you leave home. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough and cold, or flu-like symptoms. Obey quarantine, isolation, and curfew rules. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands. Help keep Belize safe.
The gates of the Corozal Free Zone have been shut since March, with its future in limbo, as the Barrow administration did not have any intentions to reopen it. But the PUP promised to reopen it, and today they took the first steps to doing so. The Minister in charge of Enterprise, Jose Mai, along with representatives from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, met with the Chamber of Commerce of the Corozal Free Zone yesterday to discuss the way forward. Today, Minister Mai gave our colleagues at CTV3 an update on that meeting. He spoke about the importance of reopening the free zones, both as a means of revenue generation and employment creation, balanced against the legitimate concerns about COVID transmission.
The timeline will be decided by the business owners in the free zone. The plan was presented to them yesterday. The plan includes, I will tell you, from what I understand, there are like approximately 135 to 150 businesses operating in the free zone, small, medium, and large. The plan included OIRSA, who would do some of the take on the responsibility to do some of the spraying and the sterilization, so to speak. They would do vehicles. They would also do the fumigation of humans through the tunnel. There's a walk-through tunnel. The vehicles would be fumigated. And prior to entering the zone, temperatures would be checked from the people entering the free zone. There will be also people within the free zone walking and randomly at random taking temperatures from people in the stores. The stores are only allowed to employ 1/3 of its employees. ticket will be given after every vehicle is fumigated. After the person walks through the tunnel, the fumigation tunnel, a ticket will be given for the person to enter the free zone. We will have people monitoring if there is that shop owner believes that a person is feeling ill, then he quickly informs and the temperatures are checked and actions are taken right away.
Mai said the cost of reopening operations would be less than $200,000 and that the businesses would split the cost. There is no date set as yet, but this will be high on the agenda at Cabinet meeting on Tuesday. The plan that we have heard is to push for an opening close to Christmas, but many zone insiders feel that is not realistic. It's been 11 days since the new Minister of Human Development, Dolores Balderramas Garcia, announced a suspension and a rebranding of the food pantry program. But the new government's version of the program, which, as we've reported, is now named Grocery Bag, remains on pause. It's an issue that Cherise Halsall took a deeper dive into today. And she found that pantry was popular to those receiving it, but viewed with suspicious and distrust by man, and for good reason. Here's why the pantry is on pause, what it means to recipients, and where it all started.
It'll be a couple of days there. It'll be a couple of days. Please, let me assure you, no, it's not going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for a month. Christmas they come. Christmas they come and I want me done. No? So we will do our best. But realizing, of course, that we're in difficult times. So work with us on that, no?
But that was almost 2 weeks ago. And today, the minister told Channel 7 via text that a decision about the reopening of Grocery Bag would be, quote, sorted out soon. We tried to speak to a few of the Belizeans who'll have to survive the weekend while waiting on their next grocery bag. And to do so, we reached out via Facebook post, a post that was not universally loved. The comments range from the entertained, to the political, to the downright hostile. We even got screenshots of the pantry recipients list, one listing Jigavum Humfunk and Hugavum Cab as pantry recipients, and another indicating that Mickey and Minnie Mouse remain in line for their rice and beans and whole chicken. All these food pantry phantoms explain why the program has been taken temporarily offline for repairs. But moving on from the cartoonish to real life, our post did allow us to speak to one single mother affected by this pause in the grocery bag. She'd been on the COVID food assistance program, but says that while she'd been guaranteed 5 weeks of grocery bags, she only got one. She preferred to remain anonymous.
One day I got a call and said that I can go to such a place and get a pantry, and from then the lady said that I will constantly get at least like 5 times. But when I called back and I asked the person told me that my name has already in the computer says, all in the system says that I have already received all the pantries that I'm supposed to get, and it was like as only one time they gave me help. Well, right now I'm just like on the down, like hustling, because like how I have a machine, and some people, like how it's been raining, people helping me, like giving me a little helping hand or giving me their clothes so I can wash, and they gave me a little bit of money, and that's how I'm struggling right now, and I'm renting at the same time. And sometimes my baby father, they help me, sometimes no, sometimes yes. So right now it's a bit kind of struggling, but thank God sometimes we don't have to eat or nothing, but we are struggling same way. All I can say is them to at least just try move faster or say whether or not if they are going to help people or not, because like how I said, not only me, or I cannot say that only me need help. Everybody right now needs a helping hand.
Cherise Halsall, 7 News.
Sources tell us that the grocery bag program is on the agenda to be discussed at Cabinet next week. Up to November 11th, there were 45,000 names on the list of recipients, food pantry and the COVID-19 food assistance program. I regret to inform you that our hospital is in crisis. Those are the opening words of an email sent by the medical chief of staff at the San Ignacio Community Hospital to hospital personnel. She explains, quote, a large number of our staff are out on sick leave due to being positive for SARS-CoV-2. We also have one of our medical officers admitted at the moment recuperating, end quote. Reports to 7 News say that at least 10 staff have tested positive for COVID-19. This reportedly includes domestic staff, some nurses and doctors. It's a worrying situation as COVID numbers have risen dramatically this week. A closer look at the most recent infographic sent out half an hour ago shows that there are now 3,488 active cases when on Monday they were reporting 2,589 cases. That's an increase of 900 active cases in just 4 days. On Monday, the number of deaths reported was 148, but tonight's infographic shows 170 COVID-related deaths, which means that there have been 6 deaths recorded in the last 24 hours and 22 deaths since Monday. Certainly reaching crisis proportions, and yesterday's report points to 37 active hospitalizations and 4 cases in the ICU. We'll take a break now. When we come back, the former PM, could he be suing the current PM? He just might. You'll hear why. And later on, we'll show you the latest adorable creature at the zoo and tell you how the floods got Fifi a new home. Don't go away.
Electricity is an essential part of our daily lives. We use lights and household appliances every day. Therefore, we must ensure our homes are wired properly. At Benny's, we have certified wires with the right gauges and insulation. BEL certified meter sockets, authentic GE and Square D panel boxes and breakers, which protect your electrical system from being overloaded. When wiring your home, avoid imitation brands which can be very dangerous. Give yourself and your family peace of mind using genuine electrical products available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
For hydration, when the choice is yours, choose the brand you have always trusted. Crystal Water. Taste you can trust.
Wow, what a year. 2020 has been a wild ride. As hard as things have been, it makes me grateful, you know, for the little things in life. My home, my family, my community, and my practice. Join me at the Belize International Yoga Festival. It's online and it's free. Tune in Sunday, December 6, 2020, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., streaming live from the Belize International Yoga Festival Facebook page. Now in its 5th year, the Belize International Yoga Festival features yoga instructors, healers, musicians, and modern visionaries from across the world. More than 22 countries will be represented. It's a global virtual event. The festival supports Rhythm of Change Belize, a nonprofit that brings yoga and meditation to those communities that need it most. RSVP on Facebook and donate to Rock Belize by visiting yogahealsbelize.com. I'll see you there, December 6, 2020, at the Belize International Yoga Festival. Community revolution, yoga evolution. Namaste.
Apple for Kids is here once again.
Have you ordered your apples yet?
You can get your red apples,
or you can get yellow apples. Each box is just $110.
And it's all for the children of Belize.
So call 614-3579 before December the 4th.
December 4th? That's this Friday. Hurry and order your apples now.
And be Belize, changing Belize.
BCE. Belize, changing Belize.
Let's all work together to be germ busters and keep each other safe by stopping the spread of germs that can make us sick. Remember to wash your hands often, especially after using your devices or toys and before and after eating. If you don't have soap and water, use a hand sanitizer. Make sure to put it all over your hands, front and back, and let it dry. Don't wipe it off. Believe Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
You've worked hard your whole life building your future, your family, your business, your home. And when you aren't around to safeguard your most beloved assets, you are at ease because you know they are protected by RF&G Insurance. For over 50 years, RF&G has been making sure business owners get back to work after an accident, and families get back into their homes quickly after a natural disaster. At RF&G, it's you who matters most. Visit us today and learn why it pays to get it right. RF&G Insurance, a Rowe Group company.
On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. A pandemic means the virus is everywhere, but it might not be everywhere at the same time. If there are no cases in your area, it does not mean that there will never be cases in your area. Here's what you can do to delay the spread of COVID-19 in your community. Stay home unless it's absolutely necessary for you to go out. Practice physical distancing when you leave home. Wash your hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds or use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough and cold, or flu-like symptoms. Obey quarantine, isolation, and curfew rules. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands. Help keep Belize safe.
It was the murder that launched a state of emergency. 5-year-old preschooler Kia Herbert shot and killed while sleeping in her mother's arms. They were sleeping on the floor in an attempt to escape a death threat that had been made against the child's uncle earlier in the day. That threat was allegedly carried out by 2 men, one of them, Kendall Flores, who is now infamous for being among the 28 escapees from the Colby Foundation. The other, 27-year-old Lyndon Hines, today walked from the charges of murder, attempted murder, grievous harm, use of deadly means of harm, and conspiracy to commit murder. It's due to a lack of identification and an uncooperative witness, which forced the DPP's office to withdraw all charges and inform Hines that he was free to go. And after a quick check at the prison, Hines was released and calmly walked out the courts back into the entrance and into the parking lot area. Kendall Flores remains on remand. He is due back in court on January 8 of 2021. Former Prime Minister Dean Barrow could be getting ready to take out a lawsuit against his successor, Prime Minister John Briceño. It's a defamation suit, but Briceño is not accused of defaming Barrow, nothing like that. In this case, the former PM has put on his lawyer's robes, and he is writing as the attorney for Tourism Director Karen Bevans. And it's all about an interview PM Briceño gave to Love FM and Love TV last week. In it, he discussed Bevans' contract and made certain characterizations about the circumstances it was issued under. Well, she believes those statements were untrue and plainly defamatory, and she has retained her former maximum boss as attorney. Today, via text message, Barrow confirmed to 7 News that he has, quote, written to the Honorable Prime Minister complaining on behalf of Mrs. Karen Bevans of defamation of character. A similar letter of complaint has also gone to Love Radio and Love TV as the stations that aired the Prime Minister's interview containing the alleged slander, end quote. The letter from Barrow demands a retraction and an apology and, quote, compensation for injury to her reputation and feelings, end quote. If none is forthcoming, the letter says he will file suit within 2 weeks from December 2nd, which is when the letter was sent. Reports from the Briceño camp suggest that the current Prime Minister may choose to wait out that 2 weeks and face off with Bevans in court. She was known as a UDP insider and a senior project officer within the Faba Ministry of Education. But Amelin Mendes has emerged at a higher rank within the Briceño administration. She was today named the CEO in the Ministry of Economic Development. A release says the Office of the Prime Minister is pleased to announce her appointment and that she will support the efforts of the Prime Minister, John Briceño, who is the substantive minister in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment. Mendes holds a Master's of Science in International Trade Policy with specialization in trade, in services and market access of goods, and a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of the West Indies. She is also currently pursuing a master's degree in project management. And while her qualifications are not in question, what has left many scratching their heads is how Mendes has parlayed her political savvy from being a UDP political insider involved at the policy level to being now a CEO in the PUP Prime Minister's office. 7 News has learned that the PUC commissioners appointed by former Prime Minister Dean Barrow have today resigned. Now, the PUC is not like a regular government board or even a corporate one with government appointees. The PUC is a creature of statute, and its commissioners are appointed by the Governor General acting on the advice of the Prime Minister. As we understand it, the current commissioners appointed by the former Prime Ministers were appointed until April of next year. Talks with the new Minister of Utilities and reportedly pointed to a January resignation and transition to new commissioners. But reports say that did not sit well with others in government, and calls started being made questioning why these Barrow appointees were still around. With that, the members reportedly resigned today, leaving the commissioner posts immediately vacant. You probably don't check nutrition facts on the back of that unhealthy snack you had this afternoon. And well, you're not alone. The consumption of junk food and fast food, for that matter, is done without second thought and can eventually lead to obesity, which in turn leads to diseases such as diabetes and hypertension. And in times like these, those are underlying conditions that could lead to death if one was to contract COVID-19. Well, that's why Chile, Peru, Uruguay, and now Mexico have started putting nutritional labels on the front of the packages. These labels are black and hexagonal, and they are designed that way to catch your attention. If you're a junk food connoisseur, you may have already noticed the labels, and that's the point, to capture your attention. This morning, during a virtual discussion of the front of package nutrition label, Dr. Jorge Polanco explained how this can lead to making healthier choices.
It allows consumers to make informed decisions, and this is key because I have here in front of me 2 items that have information on the ingredients, but believe me, I know all of you have seen it. When you look at it, it's hard to understand. If it's understood easily, it will reduce the information gaps among different socioeconomic groups. Interestingly, it will also empower consumers to get involved in healthy food and to get involved in their health. It will be a tool for them to get engaged and be able to make informed decisions if they should purchase the product or not. And finally, it also serves as an incentive for the food industry to reformulate its product towards a healthier profile. The experience in South America has already shown that with the dialogue that has been taken within the national health authorities and the private sector, many manufacturers have already begun reformulating their products. Many examples are in regards to the sodas. They have begun reformulating it to a point that they are taking it to a point where if it is evaluated with these symbols, with these hexagons, they would not get what would you say? They would be able to produce it without having to put that that symbol.
You'll see the high sugar label with 10% of calories coming from free sugars. The saturated fat label with 10% of calories comes from that, and the trans fat label with 1% of calories is from that as well. There are also high calorie and high sodium labels to look out for. The National Gas Company, as you probably know, in May of this year, they took over Belize's importation of liquefied petroleum gas, which Belizeans call butane. But ever since they replaced the Central American butane companies as Belize's only importer of cooking gas, the Central Americans have been on a public campaign to vilify them as a substitute monopoly that, if left unchecked, will price gouge you, the consumers of butane. The company has turned the other cheek here and there, and instead of firing back, they've given comments in response to some of the allegations that the former importers have raised through their attorney. Several months ago, the company promised to give us a tour of their facilities to allow viewers to judge for themselves if their operation is legit and as customer-friendly as the former Barrow administration advertised them to be. COVID and other logistical challenges prevented it from occurring soon, but today, they invited our news team to their facility in Independence, Stan Creek, to get an inside look behind the NGC curtain. Our news team arrived a little more than an hour before the start of the news, and so we will have to give you that full story on Monday's newscast. But for tonight, we have a small preview of the conversation we had with Danny Gutierrez, who was involved with several other colleagues from Belize Natural Energy in the concept that turned into the National Gas Company. Here's an excerpt of that conversation.
Several years ago, the government of Belize realized that it was in a disadvantageous position in terms of having a full understanding of what the pricing mechanism was for liquefied petroleum gas in the country of Belize. It also understood that given the way LPG was being imported into Belize at that time, meaning Bowser by Bowser by Bowser in relatively small quantities, any sort of sustainable mechanism to quality check that LPG would have been difficult. You'd have to have somebody at the border checking every unit, and that's not how LPG is checked in industry. That would have been cumbersome, expensive, not practical at all. Well, that happens because Belize was the only country in the region not to have a marine terminal of its own. The rest of countries in Central America had realized that they needed to be able to bring in bulk imports of LPG to deal with price, to deal with transparency, and to deal with energy security for their countries. We were behind, and something had to be done about it. National Gas Company was conceptualized by a team at Belize Natural Energy at that time. National Gas Company is really an entity that was designed by and financed by Belize's private sector, predominantly.
NGC was established under a different government administration, the Barrow administration. Is there any concern from the principals or the managing executives of NGC that this particular Briceño administration may decide that NGC isn't the way to provide energy security in this particular sector?
Well, it's certainly not only NGC that is saying that this project provides energy security. It's the IDB that is now saying that. It is the fact that we have thousands of Belizean citizens through their credit union and pension funds that are a part of this project. It is the fact that they themselves, GOB, owns 25% of this project. So I certainly can't speak for the government. That is not my role. But I can tell you clearly that the fact that this project brings energy security, the fact that this project has, compared on a month-to-month basis since operations started, lowered the price of LPG as compared to what was happening on the previous importers, that is undeniable. So the fact that the government will then inherit a project after 15 years of operation that did not in any way encumber the people of this country is something that anybody is going to look at very closely.
Again, tune into Monday's newscast when we will provide a detailed look at how the National Gas Company does business and how they have so far been able to provide cooking gas at a rate cheaper than the former importers. So when we come back, we'll show you the adorable new creature at the Belize Zoo. Fifi, the ocelot, has her own flood story, and the Placencia airstrip repaved and reloaded for tourist arrivals. Plus, we'll consider the unmediated minister. What does it mean? Stay tuned.
Ray, what's wrong? It's him. He hit me again. Oh my gosh. This time it was worse. He slammed my face in the wall and threatened to kill me. If you or someone you know is experiencing family violence, call 0800-A-WAY-OUT. Or you can text or WhatsApp to 672-9628. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission, with funding from The Engender and Spotlight Projects.
Every day, women and men in Belize become victims of gender-based violence, which results in emotional, sexual, financial, and physical abuse. Are you a survivor of gender-based violence and in imminent danger? Don't be afraid. There are ways you can get help. You can call our free emergency numbers at 0800-A-WAY-OUT or text or WhatsApp 672-9628 or call 911 to make a report at any time of the day or night. A police officer will assist you. You can also contact the Women and Family Support Department for women abuse or the Department of Human Services for child abuse in your district to discuss options for temporary housing or medium to long-term care and psychosocial support. You can also go directly to the family or magistrate court and obtain a protection order that restrains the abuser from coming in contact with you, or apply for an occupation and tenancy order that orders the abuser to leave the home for the period of time they see fit. Visiting your nearest hospital or polyclinic for medical attention or further referrals is also something you can do. Together, we can end gender-based violence in Belize. We are here to help you. This message is brought to you by the National Women's Commission with funding from the Engender and Spotlight projects, with support from the Department of Youth Services.
Wow, what a year. 2020 has been a wild ride. As hard as things have been, it makes me grateful, for the little things in life. My home, my family, my community, and my practice. Join me at the Belize International Yoga Festival. It's online and it's free. Tune in Sunday, December 6, 2020, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., streaming live from the Belize International Yoga Festival Facebook page. Now in its 5th year, the Belize International Yoga Festival features yoga instructors, healers, musicians, and modern visionaries from across the world. More than 22 countries will be represented. It's a global virtual event. The festival supports Rhythm of Change Belize, a nonprofit that brings yoga and meditation to those communities that need it most. RSVP on Facebook and donate to Rock Belize by visiting yogahealsbelize.com. I'll see you there, December 6, 2020, at the Belize International Yoga Festival. Community revolution, yoga evolution. Namaste.
There's an adorable new ocelot at the Belize Zoo. She's named Fifi, and she was rescued in Spanish Lookout after the flooding in that area displaced her from her mother. Now the caretakers at the zoo are raising her. The cub is going on 5 weeks old and is in good health. Today we spoke with the general curator at the zoo, Humberto Wohlers, who told us Fifi's backstory.
This gentleman, Mr. Lindo Padilla from Belmopan, was driving out from Spanish Lookout. And while he was driving out, he heard some cry, like, cat cries, meows. And he stopped and looked closely. And in his view, he said he's a cat. And he immediately said, well, it's a jaguar cub. So he waited to see if the mother would appear. He waited for some time, but there was no sign. And then he decided to pick it up and bring it to the zoo, where when it was brought to the zoo, it was identified as a female ocelot rather than a jaguar. But it was all because of the floods that were happening during those days. No, when the ocelot was brought, there's a little bit of dehydration, probably being out there alone for some time. Normally when we acquire new animals, we look at the body condition and the weight and all that, and determine what we're gonna do, how are we gonna start this feeding process. When we received it, it weighed 1 pound 4 ounces, and we were estimating about 2 to 3 weeks old. And right now, she's 2 pounds 4 ounces, so she has increased a lot. When she gets good and in good health, and already we could be able to introduce it to other ocelots, we have to do a slow introduction where we have to put her next with other ocelots to recognize, establish the area, visually see the other ocelots, and so eventually we will have to do a slow introduction in the large area, and then eventually if we could integrate it with another one.
Currently, the zoo is struggling to purchase the milk needed to keep Fifi healthy. They are accepting donations, not just for Fifi, but to help take care of all the other animals. You can call them at 822-8000. There is also the option to adopt an animal and assist with its care. It was a grand inauguration today for the new and improved Placencia Municipal Airport. The airport, which lost major revenue due to COVID-19, closed earlier this year and took advantage of the downtime to make major upgrades. These include a new runway lighting system that will facilitate both later flights and emergency med-evac to and from the peninsula. The inauguration, which was attended by the Blue Economy and the Logistics and Public Utility Ministers, as well as a host of Placencia residents, precedes what is hoped to be new economic opportunities for the area. Here are a few words from Minister Perez's keynote address made on that brand new runway earlier today.
The renovation of the Placencia Municipal Airport supports one of the core strategic goals of the Belize Airports Authority and responds to the projected growth of passenger traffic at the domestic airports. Of course, we are fully cognizant that the past months have been especially difficult for the community of Placencia and the aviation industry due to COVID travel restrictions and a decrease in numbers of persons visiting our country. The domestic passenger movement has, however, remained consistent, as in 2019, this sector totaled 35,695 passengers. I can say that the statistics are motivating as we see upward trend in the passenger movement at this aerodrome. With the renovations and relaxation of travel restrictions and the newly implemented gold standard policy, we are expecting a similar upward trend in air traffic when the Placencia Airport resumes operation.
The whole peninsula is in odd because they have waited a long time for this. One reason is that many times they have complained that late flights, I always have trouble coming in, or they have to stay in Middle East City because, so definitely the increase in overnight tourism will be great for us whenever we get back out of COVID pandemic, but it's going to be huge.
The video was provided by the Government Press Office, which is a trend that's been happening for some time. Going back to the UDP, where ministers can't be bothered to deal with the independent media. For the UDP, saddled by a decade of dirty deeds done cheap, we kind of knew why they didn't want us there. But for the new PUP government with enormous popularity and a huge mandate, it's slightly puzzling until you consider that in the era of Trump, the unmediated message is the preferred mode of communication. Jules Vasquez did a little look at this new normal.
Monday's rambling report to his Belize Rural South constituency by the Minister of the Blue Economy and Civil Aviation was a first, speaking plainly about cabinet disappointments.
Now, some of us might be saying, Mr. Andre, why did you get tourism and, all of these things. But I want to assure you that first you must place confidence in our Prime Minister, and I'm sure that he has seen me, he knows my value, he knows what are my strengths.
From there, he went into making political attacks.
Our country has been plundered, has been pillaged, we have been raped. This past government has left their cronies in their stock with all different positions and contracts. Daughter-in-laws, primos, esposas, sobrinos, amigos, allegados, everyone here are still in there embedded. It's like a virus on top of us that we cannot chop, that we have to take them one by one to take them out.
And from there, he went to speak on major policy issues.
And I will be asking respectfully to the consultations and everything that we must put it on hold.
The Facebook Live presentation ran for a discursive 35 minutes, but it marks a sea change. It is a government seeking an unmediated interface with the electorate. And by unmediated, we mean cutting out the media. The trend has been set by Prime Minister John Briceño, who has taken 4 total questions from the press in this one open engagement. Other than that, he has been on Facebook, not taking questions, but making 2 statements with a familiar refrain.
In simple terms, the UDP government maxed out the credit card. We do not earn enough to pay our bills. We are more than double the internationally accepted debt to GDP threshold and the second highest in the Caribbean. This is unsustainable. Recall I told you that what we found after 11th November was that government was borrowing about $1 million a day just to keep government functioning.
A message without a mediator. No nagging questions or pesky reporters, just state-level dicta. A move used to great effect by Donald Trump. And the question now is, will the Facebook Live be to the Briceño administration what Twitter has been to Trump?
Going for a month into office next week, Prime Minister Briceño has still not had a press conference. He is presently self-isolating at home with COVID-19, but we'd expect he can still have one on Zoom since he is asymptomatic and active on that platform daily. This past semester has not been the easiest for students, and while many students have fallen behind, the CXC exams for high schoolers must go on. In a memo from the Ministry of Education, the CEO, Diane Mejia, announced that the deadline for registration for the 2021 CXCs was extended to Wednesday, December 9th. The CSEC examinations grant will also only cover the cost of the sitting of 3 exams, including English A and Mathematics. This has caused concern among students who are already facing a financial crunch due to a COVID-19, since in previous years the government would pay for 6 CXCs. The memo ends by advising students to only sign up for the exams they feel they are prepared for. There will also be no national awards this year to recognize the top achievers. Ahmadiyya Jamaat Muslim community has set out to assist Belizeans affected by the floods. The community has always engaged in positive initiatives and is now provided pantries for those in need. Today we stopped by the site of their new mosque, and one missionary told us that their goal is to help others without pushing a religious agenda.
Since we have started this pantry program for those who have been affected by the flood, we have helped around 800 families so far. Even today, we have more bags in our car that we are going to distribute to those who are in need. We have gone to Crooked Tree, Borough Boom, George Street, and different places within the city, within Belize Rural North, and we have went to Orange Walk and Corozal as well. We distribute it to people who are in need, and we use the help of those who are the political representative of that community. Regardless if it's the People's United Party or United Democratic Party. We are a community that is neutral to any political affiliation, right? And Humanity First is this NGO, or the physical arm of the community that we use to distribute these pantries. We have partnered up with Gallardo Services and Hardware, which has very graciously helped us as well. And we have used some of our own charity money from the community of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to reach out to these people.
What groceries and supplies are in the bags?
Basically, we have cornflakes, milk, rice, beans, flour, oil, some basic essentials. We got in contact with Nemo and we asked what would be the best supplies that we can give people, and these were the suggestions that they gave us.
Today they also stopped by the Belama area to hand out more pantries. Floods caused by Hurricane Eta and Iota have been in the news for weeks now, and while Belize City and the Belize River Valley got its fair share of flooding over the last week, the worst of the floods took place in the west. Yesterday, in an effort to provide relief to families and children in those communities, the U.S. Embassy, in partnership with UNICEF, held a handing over ceremony at the San Ignacio Town Council Hall. They were there to hand out emergency response kits to both the Red Cross and NEMO in an effort to reduce the risk and impact of COVID-19 on vulnerable children and adolescents in Belize. The kits, which were purchased through an ongoing $300,000 United States Agency for International Development, USAID, grant to UNICEF, will be distributed to 354 families from regions in the Cayo district. These kits, which will be delivered over a 3-day period, contains critical hygiene supplies sufficient for a family of 5, as well as a nutrition hamper with supplemented food. And during yesterday's handover ceremony, Chargé d'Affaires Keith Gilges traveled to Kala Creek, where he personally handed out kit supplies and even new mattresses to residents most severely affected by the floods. The project is also in the process of procuring early childhood development kits, which will be distributed to families with children under 8 years old. Yoga aficionados will be looking forward to the 5th annual Belize International Yoga Festival this Sunday. Like every other event this year, this festival will be held virtually. But this only adds to the experience, as it allows teachers and students from all over the world to participate. The founder of Shanti here in Belize spoke to us via Zoom about what makes this year different.
And this year, yes, there is an element of expansion this year that we kind of like were in a way that we leaned into, because we could have chosen to delay it and then just wait until maybe further in the year to see how things will progress as far as it being an in-person event. But then, you know, I think it's a very relevant thing to have an event like this in the middle of what we're experiencing, because I think there's a lot of benefits that can come from it. People can acquire tools to help maintain their mental health, physical health, emotional health through the change of environments that we're experiencing. And from when the idea came to me that we'll have this virtual event, I knew that it was going to be an incredibly special event, because not only were our Belizean yoga teachers excited about maintaining the yearly event,
but it also widened the scope of Belize becoming an internationally known country, a destination for yoga and wellness, because with the invitations of all the yoga teachers from around the world that are hashtagging Belize International Yoga Festival, hashtagging and sharing their classes and then inviting their members to participate, it gives Belize an exposure that I think is really relevant in these times. The people that are going to be traveling are people that are going to be looking for some sort of transformation at the end of their stay in any location. I think tourism is going to change a little bit, and I think the Belize International Yoga Festival can really highlight Belize as a destination for this.
Some of the sessions that will be featured are adapting to quarantine life and the benefits of yoga and the power of resilience, respect and empowerment. The event will be streamed on Love and on Facebook at belize.yogafest. Reports just into our newsroom are that there has been a late evening murder in PG. Reports say a fireman was found dead in a couch in the fire station at Punta Gorda. At around 6:20, he was apparently watching YouTube videos when someone shot him through the window. He collapsed and died right on the couch, and an expended shell was found outside the window. We'll have more details on this murder on Monday's news. That's all we have for you for tonight. Thanks for watching. With your news, I'm Indira Craig. Remember, you can see a streaming of this newscast at 7newsbelize.com and on our Facebook page. Remember that the curfew starts at 10 p.m. tonight and every night, so please do stay inside. Remember also to wash those hands, to keep the social and physical distance of 6 feet, and to wear a mask safely and correctly, and stay home as much as possible because the virus doesn't move unless you do. Stay safe and make sure to join me back here on Monday. Until then, have a good night and a safe and enjoyable weekend.